Folks, welcome back. Today, we are going to fight some of the misinformation that is being perpetuated around the hobby. I'm going to do my duty for the hobby and kill it with data and facts and logic. And hopefully this saves people from just going down the YouTube and Discord and Reddit and comment section rabbit hole, because I don't know how this nonsense started. If it was one YouTuber that started it and then others piggybacked on the idea, and then it got carried over to all the comment sections everywhere, which made it almost a thing, even though it's not a thing. And what I'm talking about is the notion that the most valuable sets, the best cards are saved for the end of the era. Alex, the last 4 sets of the era, that's when the heat gets here. And the problem with this is none of the data supports it. And people never want to look at the data. They just want to spout whatever nonsense comes to mind that they think they can make a video about. And so this is something I've been fighting against for a while on the channel. It came up for a quick minute on the Investor and Collector podcast that me and Pokey Plumber do every 2 weeks on the channel. And so I wanted to expand on that point a little bit in today's video. So let's go back and start with XY, okay? The most valuable sets in XY are not Evolutions, Steam Siege, Fates Collide, and Breakpoint. Those are the last 4 booster box sets of the era, okay? They're not the most valuable boxes. They don't have any of the most valuable cards. Sure, Fates Collide has the secret rare Alakazam, great card. Breakpoint is the secret rare Gyarados, awesome card. They're nowhere near the most valuable though, okay? Not in Raw, not in PSA 10, no way, shape, or form, all right? The most valuable sets are Flashfire and Phantom Forces and Furious Fists and Ancient Origins and XY Base. Now, I understand XY is a little different because a lot of those sets were released in 2014 before the Pokemon craze really began again in 2015, 2016. And those early sets didn't see massive reprints the way the older sets did in the era. And so I understand if you want to make a case that that's a different situation. That's fine. But Ancient Origins is not a different situation. That was the 7th set printed in the era. The 7th set, okay? Meaning we're already on set number 8 in Scarlet and Violet with Surging Sparks. What are we waiting for? The 7th set was when one of the most valuable sets in the entire era in XY was created. Not just that, it has the Primal Kyogre, Primal Groudon, and the Rayquaza that are some of the most valuable cards, not just raw, but graded in the entire era, next to things like, the Silver Dialga and the Flashfire Charizards and the Phantom Forces Gengars and all those types of things, all right? But moving on to Sun and Moon. I think Sun and Moon is where people really latched onto this idea because of the tag teams, right? The tag teams really had people latch on the idea that the later sets were going to be better. However, did anyone care to look at numbers? Up until recently, and I mean very recently, like this year, the Latias was not the most valuable PSA 10 card, right? The Charizard GX Rainbow Rare from Burning Shadows was the most valuable card, which was the 3rd set in the era. The Shining Legends Mewtwo, the Mewtwo card, that was one of the most valuable cards. The Charizard GX from Hidden Fates, which was the last set created in the era, right? The Latias is now, and then other tag teams became that way, okay? So the valuable cards are spread out across the entire era, so we can't draw any parallels there. Let's look at the box prices, okay? I understand Team Up is now the most valuable, and Cosmic Eclipse is number 2. Now, what's number 3? You would possibly say, well, it's got to be Unbroken Bonds or Unified Minds, but it's not. Depending on the sales data you look at, Celestial Storm is actually selling for more than either one of those boxes. It's actually catching up to Cosmic Eclipse. And then you can look at sets like Lost Thunder or Ultra Prism, which are selling for about the same, if not a little more, sometimes a little less, than Unbroken Bonds and Unified Minds. These are all middle era sets, okay? Sets like we're seeing right now with Temporal Forces and Twilight Masquerade and Surging Sparks. Now, looking at Sun and Moon, you could make the argument that, well, the last 4 are pretty much the most valuable. So Alex, it kind of does hold true. I'm not saying it can't hold true. I'm saying it's not a rule. And that's proven when you look at XY, and then proven even deeper when you get to Sword and Shield, right? Now, I'm going to wipe out the Sword and Shield base set. I understand that's a special case. It was released during the pandemic. It didn't get reprints. That's fine, okay? But look at the other sets. You have Silver Tempest, Lost Origin, Astral Radiance, and Brilliant Stars. Other than Lost Origin, which is keeping up with Chilling Reign and Fusion Strike, and the Garatina is, I believe, still the second most valuable alt art in the era. Other than that, which again, it could just be an outlier. It doesn't mean they saved it for the last, last couple sets. It's an outlier, right? It just happened to come at that point. Other than that, the Lugia is not the most valuable alt art, not even close. The Charizard, the Machamp, Astral and Brilliant, not even close. None of those boxes, Silver, Astral, and Brilliant, are performing anywhere good as the middle era boxes. Now, I'm sure you can say things like, well, Alex, they're newer, give them more time. Yeah, it's fine, let's give them more time. You think they're going to catch up to Evolving Skies, Chilling Reign, and Fusion Strike? Have you seen how deep those sets are? Do you see how many alt arts that are valuable in those sets? You look at Chilling Reign, do you think, the Lugia is going to outdo the Blaziken and the Moltres and every other alt art in that set, which it has plenty? Do you think Fusion Strike, the Gengar, the Espeon, and everything in there, the Mew, those are all going to fall off and lose their spots to Silver Tempest, Astral Radiance, or Brilliant Stars? Do you really? Evolving Skies, it's the 7th set. That's Stellar Crown. It is the 7th set in the era. It's the most valuable. And so when you look back at all these eras, it completely blows the lid off this ridiculous notion that, Alex, I'm just going to wait till the end of the era. That's when the value is going to come. That's when Pokemon's going to come up with some kind of new gimmick and it's going to be hugely valuable. What's the new gimmick in Sword and Shield? Trainer galleries? Well, Alex, they came out with trainer galleries, and so that's why those sets are great. Okay, Evolving Skies, Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike, they didn't need trainer galleries, right? Lost Thunder, Ultra Prism, Celestial Storm, they didn't have tag teams, right? I mean, what did XY era have? Did they come out with the gold border secret rares or something, right? The earlier sets didn't have those, right? And so maybe they come out with a new gimmick for, SV9 and 10, 11, 12, but it doesn't necessarily mean those are going to be the most valuable cards or the most valuable boxes. And so be very careful when you see people using like a small amount of data to try to support their narrative or, claiming things on YouTube videos, because a lot of times when you look into it, if the data doesn't match up, I'm not saying they're lying on purpose. They're probably just trying to create content and haven't looked into it deep enough. And maybe they just came up with something and wanted to make a video about it, or maybe they saw someone else say it and they just kind of took their word for gospel because they have a lot of followers or whatever it may be, and they repeat it. And it just kind of becomes this, repetition where people see it in the comments, talk about it in discourse, talk about it in Reddits. They use a few things to support their beliefs, and then it becomes like a thing. It becomes this nonsensical idea of the market, and it simply doesn't hold up. And so that's why I fought so hard for sets like Paldea Evolved or Temporal Forces or now with Surging Sparks. Like, people have this notion that, well, Alex, just wait. These last 4 sets, those are going to be the sets I'm holding my money for. Why? It's Team Up and Cosmic Eclipse are really the only things that have ever proven to be true that the later sets are going to be most valuable. Now Lost Origin is starting to turn it on, and it's catching up and becoming most valuable. But like, other than those 3 sets, it's never been a thing. Never. Like, if you wanted to place your bets, you'd be better off betting on Twilight or Surging Sparks, because those are right smack dab in the middle of the era where we've seen the Chilling, Evolving, and Fusion, where we've seen, the Celestial Storms, where we've seen the Ancient Origins, right? That's where the most valuable sets, a lot of them, are starting to come from. And so, guys, a good set is a good set, all right? Depending on what's in it, how hard the hit rates are. And then after that, it depends on how scarce it's going to be, right? How many of the boxes are printed? How many of those printed are opened? How many are actually on the market at any given time? Are there reprints? Are there restocks? How big are the reprints or restocks? Did they reprint or restock the booster boxes, or was it other items? There's a lot of other factors that go into it, but this factor that when it's released in the era has anything to do with it, stop it. Quit it, guys. This is nonsense. We're trying to create something out of nothing. Maybe we're just trying to create content or just like have something to talk about because, the news cycle's, slow right now. I don't know. But I wanted to put this video out because, again, that conversation did come up and I felt it deserved a deeper conversation about it. And so with anything, guys, not just this topic, look into things before you start putting your money into anything, because a lot of the times you may find out it's kind of bullshit. That's all I got. Hope you enjoyed the video. Be back here in a new one soon. I'm out.